woman named Helen J. Stewart. In 1882, at a time when there was little civilization in southern Nevada, Stewart moved to a desert ranch in the grounds of the old Mormon fort. Through her efforts, this isolated oasis bloomed into what eventually would become the massive metropolitan area we know as Las Vegas. The legacy of Helen J. Stewart is kept alive through her correspondence and photographs, through biographical works, and through Chautauqua-style performances by scholars such as Dr. Linda Miller, Phyllis Weaver, and others to portray Helen and her associates. These combined efforts are now strengthened by the creation of an original statue commemorating the pioneer woman who became known as the First Lady of Las Vegas.
This is a maquette. This is a scale model of what the large sculpture of Helen J. Stewart will look like. She was tough. She meant business. She wasn't just a prissy lady. Even though she dressed beautifully and was a beautiful woman, she also wasn't afraid to do a little hard work, too.
She was the epitome of a pioneer woman. Her life was not a bed of roses. She met everything that came her way, face on, and never let anything deter her. She served right up until the bitter end in community service.
And we think she was one of the great pioneers of southern Nevada, a woman who lost her husband and carried on and became an entrepreneur and helped to build up this area.
I have a photo of Daisy Ben Smith, who is our great-grandmother, who worked for Mrs. Stewart. And Mrs. Stewart took this picture, and this is one of the baskets that my great-grandmother made.
Now, drawing directly upon her priceless personal letters and other primary historical documents, we present The Life and Times of Helen J. Stewart.
Hello, I'm Delphine Squires, and I'm here to talk about my very good friend, Helen Jane Weiser Stewart. Helen is a remarkable woman who came to the Las Vegas Valley in 1882. After the tragic death of her husband Archibald in 1884, she became the owner-operator of the largest ranch in Lincoln County, Nevada. It was an oasis with a spring-fed creek and meadows in the southern Nevada desert. Many Native Americans came here. It was a resting spot for immigrants and their wagon trains. It's along the old Spanish Trail, later the Mormon Road. It was here that Helen spent most of her adult life.
Welcome to the Las Vegas Rancho. My name is Helen Stewart, and this was my home for over 40 years. This was an oasis in the desert, and many people stopped by here. The water was so important to us here in the desert so that we were able to grow grapes and peaches and figs, and we used the grapes to make wine. We were able then to celebrate holidays here. We brought family together. July 4th celebrations were celebrated here as well. I'm not from Nevada. I was born April 16, 1854 in Springfield, Illinois. My family passed through the Carson Valley on our way to Galt, California.
Helen attended public schools in Sacramento County and then community college in Woodland, California. Soon enough, a new adventure took over her life. She married Archibald Stewart. Together they headed to southern Nevada.
People wonder how I got here. I came down in a wagon just like the Mormon settlers did. In 1882, I had 3 small children and another one on the way as we traveled from Pioche to take over this Las Vegas Rancho after the gases defaulted. Our land became very prosperous. We were able to get riches out of this dirt. People back east couldn't believe what we could grow here in the desert, but it's amazing what you can do with the water. We had alfalfa, grains, fruit, grapes. We were able to sell this to the miners in El Dorado Canyon. We were more prosperous than the gases had been.
The Stewart family was thriving. Now with 4 young children, William, Hira, Tiza, and Eva. A 5th, young Archie, was on the way, and then tragedy struck.
My husband Archibald was murdered at the nearby Kyle Ranch on July 13, 1884. I received a note from Conrad Kyle, the owner, to send a team and take Mr. Stewart away. He is dead. I took the doors off the house to make a coffin. I read from the Book of Common Prayer for the burial service.
The Pioche Weekly reported the events of the murder. The Lincoln County Grand Jury voted to dismiss the charges due to a lack of evidence. Helen was devastated at the loss of her husband, but with 5 children to raise and a ranch to run, life had to go on. In an unlikely coincidence, a man came into her life bearing the same surname of Stewart.
Frank Stewart arrived from Sandy Valley and worked on the ranch for me. In the summer of 1903, we were married in Los Angeles. I had him sign a prenuptial agreement. He spent a great deal of time in the wine cellar and entertained travelers with wine and wit. Over there through the gates was my house. I raised 5 children in that small house. We were a ranching family, and we got many of the horses from the Gasses, and my 3 boys worked on the ranch here. Unfortunately, it's a very sad place because this is where my youngest son, Archie, was killed when he was home on summer vacation. As a ranching family, I had many duties. Be a banker for prospectors. My father and I kept good records for the farm, and we then sold some of our products to other people. I was appointed the first postmistress in 1893, and I held that position until 1903. This was also the voting precinct. My father and I purchased more land and developed our property until I became one of the largest landowners in Lincoln County. And from that 2,000 acres that we purchased, I sold it to the railroad, and Las Vegas developed from that. I often saw visions of rails and the smoke of trains replacing our fields here in the deserts as church spires came and homes replaced these green fields. I had many friends in the Southern Paiute